week of Hello Ladies, Feminism, and Pro Wrestling. I am one of your hosts, Sabrina Hannon.
I am your other host, Megan Manley.
And we are not going live today. We tried. I got so nervous I started sweating. And after about an hour, realized I couldn't figure it out. And yeah, so here we are. Uploading a little late.
We recorded.
Yes. We tried. We failed. We move on. So we're here to talk about Forbidden Door, Blood and Guts, and then basically just the John Cena part of the John Cena Monday Night Rawness. But we are going to start off with what happened first, being Forbidden Door.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a fun pay-per-view.
Yes. Yeah. And you have the first match. The first match was Joss Queen, right?
Right. I just want to give a shout out on the buy-in to my boy Yoshihashi that won his match against QT Marshall and Aaron Solo. Brian and I always joke, I love Yoshihashi, that I'm like his only and biggest fan. So I was very happy to see that he won. Well, he and his team won, but it doesn't matter. It was Yoshihashi. But I was just happy about that, so I just wanted to throw that out there. But yes, the first official match was Yas Queen.
Otherwise known as the Jericho Appreciation Society. Joss.
Which, I mean, if this was... I don't have anything bad to say about any match on this card, to be honest with you. Like, it was just a fun, pure wrestling pay-per-view. Like, I don't have any issues. I always love seeing Murder Grandpa. Like,
oh yeah.
One thing I was saying to Brian, which I find funny, is like Suzuki is clearly, a heel. Like, comes out of the heel tunnel and he's supposed to be like a bad guy, but like he always works so hard to get the crowd going. Like, he's always like, come on, like wants them to clap, and I'm like, that's so weird for like a heel persona. And I don't know. I like that about Murder Grandpa.
Yeah, his hair is always like transfixing me.
He's terrifying looking. Like, he scares the shit out of me, but I love him.
Yeah, he looks like he escaped a mental institution.
Seriously. And I find this, that if a wrestler is not wearing knee pads, they look like way more naked.
Yeah.
I just always feel like he's not wearing as much as other wrestlers, and I'm like, no, he's wearing the same kind of trunks. He just doesn't have the knee pads going on.
Yeah, the knee thing reminded me, at some point during this pay-per-view, someone did something where like they were stretching. I've complained. No, it's not a complaint. It's more of a my body cries when I see it. When Chuck Taylor takes and like bangs his knees on the ring. Somebody else did something similar to that during this pay-per-view, and I was just like, oh, why? Why?
No, I hear you. I have bad knees, so it makes me cringe every time I see it. Like when the Butcher used to come out and do his thing that he does around the ring, I feel like, ow.
He's not a spring chicken either. Like, don't do that, sir.
No.
So this is pretty bad. Who was Joss Queen facing again?
So it was Eddie Kingston, Wheeler Yuta, and Shota.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
It's so funny because like the Blackpool Combat Club it started out like they were supposed to, like Wheeler Yuta turning on Best Friends was like heelish, but he's so over and people love him so much that like no, like Daniel Bryan supposed to be a heel. It's not working.
yeah, I get a kick out of the Blackpool Combat Club because this is before like Claudio joined. So you have Wheeler Yuta that comes out of the face tunnel. You have Bryan Danielson comes out of the heel tunnel, and then you have Mox that come through the crowd. Like, it's so strange to see a faction where they're not all heel or not all face. You have a tweener, a baby face, and what's supposed to be a heel, but people love Bryan too much. But I like that. It's like going against what we've been seeing in all of wrestling, not even like just like WWE or even AEW, like all of wrestling since we were kids. You'd never really see a group like that.
Yeah, you don't see like a mixed bag, as it were,
Mhm.
unless someone is in the process of changing from babyface to heel or vice versa.
Like Wardlow when he was with um, the Pinnacle.
Hmm.
He
It
was,
was weird seeing both shows without Wardlow
yeah.
or MJF for that matter.
Yeah, I don't know when MJF's going to come back, but that's going to be fun
Mhm.
because, he deserves time off. Like, clearly that wasn't, a shoot. Like, that was just, give him the microphone, let him go off on a promo, and then let this kid have some time off because he's been working like every single week since 2019 when this company started. So he's taking some well deserved time off right now.
Yeah. They might be regretting it at the moment since everyone's getting injured, but
Yeah, wrestling's cursed. It's just cursed. Every company, they're like, there's people that didn't come. It was supposed to be in this match, um, that it was supposed to be a 4-on-4, and
Brian was supposed to be in it, right?
no, it was supposed to be
He's supposed to be
one of the
later.
Japan guys, the junior heavyweight Takahashi. He was supposed to come over, but he had a fever, and
Mm.
they wouldn't let him travel, like, because COVID's still a thing, even though people don't act like it is anymore. Um, and I forget who they pulled out on the other side, but I can't remember on like Jericho's side who they pulled out. But yeah, this was supposed to be a 4-on-4.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think even the commentators have been saying about how this this pay-per-view was cursed. Like
Yeah,
everyone was just getting injured.
even on BT, Matt and Nick, like towards the end of it, when they were like, finally this cursed pay per view is over, they were like, don't get us wrong, like it was a good show, like there was good wrestling, but it's just been cursed, like with all the injuries and the shit that like Andrade couldn't be in it,
Mhm.
and the Lucha Bros, and like it was just like so much got stacked against it that it should have failed, but it ended up being just a fun night of wrestling. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. So again, the I had a hard time getting invested in some of it because I didn't know, like, I don't know any of the New Japan people. So with them, like, if the people who came out didn't immediately grab my attention, it was phone up. But that being said, like, I they did an okay job of introducing us to some of the people, but the people they introduced us to weren't people they needed to, like Will Osprey. They didn't need, like, that's a name people would know. I needed to know like the Japanese wrestlers because I that's why for almost all of these I'm gonna be like, and who was that person? Because I don't know their names.
Gotcha. I think now we're gonna see more of them, because I don't think this is a one and done. And
Mhm.
I think even on Friday, I forget who it is on Rampage against the Young Bucks. I think they
Oh
said,
yeah, they're champions, right?
was it Jeff Cobb and the Great Okan? Is that who they're?
I don't know why you're asking me.
I forget who they said, but I know that there's going to be like New Japan guys on Rampage, and I'm sure that there's going to be more crossover, especially now. I mean, we'll get into it later, but now the FTR are their tag team champs, and I think this is probably going to end up being like an annual pay-per-view thing.
Yeah, yeah. But again, my critique will be they need to pepper in the New Japan guys, specifically the ones who are Japanese wrestlers. That like I've seen Zack Saber Jr. wrestle before. I've heard Will Osprey. I've heard about Okada. That's that's about it.
Tanahashi's surprising because he was like their Cena. Like huge, excuse me, like a huge name that like I knew before I started, like I heard of him, like I knew of him, but didn't like know him before I started watching. That one kind of shocks me.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if Cultaholic still did Wrestler of the Week, I would know these things. But otherwise, like that's literally the only reason I know the name Will Ospreay is because of Cultaholic.
Gotcha. I think you'll see them more on Dynamites and stuff like throughout the year. That you'll get to know some of them more because I can see them like, oh, you want to send over like Shingo for a match or something, and like, and we'll send over, I don't know, like Wardlow for something. You know, like I think that there's going to be more because the Japanese wrestling fans, they love like the big beefy wrestlers. Like Lance Archer is super over in New Japan. You should have heard the pop for him when they announced that he was going to be in the G1. I think he got the loudest pop of anybody that was announced. Like they super love, like they loved Vader. Like he
Oh,
was
yeah.
super over. Like they just love their big beefy American wrestlers. Like
They have Vince McMahon's eye, in other words, for wrestlers.
yeah, kinda. Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess that's a good way to look at it, even though I hate to say it. But yeah, they like them.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that Vince McMahon likes big beefy men song will never leave my brain.
Yeah.
To the point where like I'll be washing dishes and all of a sudden I'll be like, And it's like, thank you, Ross. That's
Yeah.
forever in my brain. Forever.
Right.
Yeah. I so what I thought was interesting was throughout this pay-per-view, they did not have JR or some of the I think Tony Schiavone as well out there the whole time. Now, I think it was Tony who might have outed JR as the one who has to pee the most. So I don't know if that's why they were like, we can't have you walking back and forth all the time, JR, or
I
what.
think that because it was a joint pay per view, that they wanted to have like a New Japan commentator and the AEW commentators, and Excalibur is better suited for that pay per view
Mhm.
because he's very knowledgeable on like all the move names and all the wrestlers and doesn't get names wrong or call them wrong names from old companies. And like
Mhm.
it was probably, I mean, I love JR. He is, as many people our age say, the voice of their childhood. Like he, but it's sad to watch him slip so much as he's
I
getting.
mean, he was always like that. Like I remember he would confuse the Hardy Boys throughout their entire WWE career. Like when we were kids, I remember that. Same thing with Edge and Christian. Like if you were a tag team and your hair, no, I can't even say if your hair was the same color, but if you were a tag team, you were interchangeable for JR.
It just seems more like frequent now. Like he flat out said Cesaro last night.
Yeah, he did.
He has said like Daniel Bryan, and like he might have said Rusev. I'm sure it probably has happened. It's just it's a lot that he messes up names, like a lot that I think people were saying like, oh, he said Cesaro drink, like to the point where people are joking about it like that. I I love JR, but I feel like he should be more of a backstage interview role at this point because that he's great. Like when you have one of those like backstage segments where he's just sitting down with somebody in a room, like on like big chairs and going back, like interviewing back and forth. That's where he shines still the most, and maybe we should just do that. Like,
I could be wrong, but I think in one of his books he specifically says he doesn't like doing those.
of course.
Yeah. Tony Schiavone, however, does. Tony is an interesting guy. I guess I watched an interview where he was being interviewed, and I mean he's a great interviewee, I guess, from all those years of doing the interviewing.
Yeah, Tony's good. I enjoy him. He's just he's fun for, a little, oh my God, and like, it's Sting and all that shit. Like, I enjoy him for a little bit of flavor. Like,
Yeah. So what was the next match after Ja?
it was the FTR, the Ring of Honor tag title match with FTR, Roppongi Vice, and um, Jeff Cobb and the Great Okan.
FTR's music, the more I hear it, the more I like it.
Yeah.
Not to say that I didn't like it initially, but just like it's like an earworm. Like once it gets in there, like wiggles around your brain. Party.
I didn't like it when they were heels because I didn't think it sounded like a heel theme. I was like, it's too like, I don't know, upbeat, I guess. And now that they're faces, like, I like it.
I feel like the music and like their logo really fit Cash's hair.
Yeah, it's a throwback.
Mhm.
It's a,
Yeah, from the 80s.
yeah,
Hardcore.
I think that's 100% what they're going for. Like,
And mission achieved.
they have, what is it, the 6-star FTR shirt that I tried to see if it existed to buy because I wanted it and I cannot find it, but I want it so bad. Like, I think it's like the light purplish color and it looks like a old school like wrestling flyer and I really like it and I don't know if it's like only for them, but I want it.
Yeah. Yeah. This match was really good, very entertaining.
Mm,
I mean, anything with FTR is going to capture your attention.
yeah, and I mean Roppongi Vice is good and Jeff Cobb and the Great O'Connor, great big beefy men, you know, like they're
Hmm.
it was I mean a lot of New Japan shows have a lot of like multi-man tag matches and only a few like singles main events. So this very much tracked for that because there was I mean this is another one. We just had a before this a 6-man tag and this one's a triple threat tag match and I'm not always a huge fan of triple threat tag matches. I don't know why. I but yeah, this was great. I love the one spot where I think it was Dash that Cash wasn't outside of the ring. Like they like laid him out and
Hmm.
he had to tag in like Trent. And it was just like, you could tell he didn't want to. We wanted to keep fighting, but he couldn't. He had to tag in like someone else that could have possibly won the belts. It was good storytelling and a good match.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think the right winners as well.
Oh, yeah. They have 3 titles. I forgot about the AAA one until they came out last night. And they
Hmm.
have the AAA. I thought they only had the 2. I forgot they had 3.
Yep. Yeah. After their match, what was next?
It was the All Atlantic title match with
Oh,
Clark
yes.
Connors, who I didn't know who Clark Connors was because I don't really watch New Japan. I don't really watch New Japan Strong. That's the like U.S. one.
Hmm.
I pretty much just watch like big shows, like just the regular New Japan shows, and then Pac and Malachi Black and Miro. And Clark Connors got himself over at the end of that match. That crowd was all about him. Like,
Yeah, this was a good match. I wanted either Pac or Malachi Black to win. I would have been happy either way. And I'm really happy that it was Pac. I had said to you, like, he's been there since the beginning, basically, with AEW, and he definitely deserved this.
oh, yeah, we basically said the same thing. I mean, he definitely should have had a title by now. And if it wasn't for COVID, he would have had a title because he was stuck in England. He couldn't get over for, God, a long time. And then he was back for a little bit. And then something happened, was an injury maybe or something. And he had to go back home and he was stuck there again. And like, he, I think he would have been one of the first like 3 TNT champions if it wasn't for COVID. I think that definitely would have happened.
Yeah, I mean, quite possibly. Yeah. Did you hear Miro's interview where he said the belt doesn't make the man makes the belt. And so the TV or TNT championship falling in esteem in his eyes. Like he says that the belt is now shit. Means shit.
No.
Yeah. And he said it started with Sammy.
Yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
Sammy's first run with it, I'd say no. Sammy's
Yeah.
first run was legit, but I think what hurt it was the like from Sammy to Cody, back to Sammy to Scorpio, back to Sammy, back to Scorpio. Like that started to hurt it a little bit. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think Cody needed that other win. Sammy just could have kept the belt, like I yeah, Sammy's initial run, no, like it was still a legit, but I can see what he's saying. It's starting to feel like the US title on like WWE's brand, which doesn't ever feel like anything important or special. Like not even when Cena did his open challenges every week, it still didn't feel like any kind of belt that like anyone would want. Like it just never felt special.
I mean, I was definitely more invested when Cena was doing, but I'm more invested anytime Cena's doing something. Um, but there have been times that I've been interested in what's going on with the US title belt. Um, but with, yeah, it, they would probably make a very smart move putting it on Wardlow at this point.
I think that's the plan. Scorpio's injured too, so that's why that is. Oh yeah, he's on the long list of people that are injured. He's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we're not. I think that's probably why we're not seeing Wardlow right now, because the whole thing I think is shifting to him winning the TNT title off of Scorpio Sky. Scorpio Sky got injured. Can't really do the angle right now.
Yeah, and it's also, I hate to say it like this, but it feels like a step down for Wardlow to win that title, even though he's had 0 titles at this point. So I can't, because it seems like a no-brainer to me that he would demolish Scorpio Sky.
Yes and no. I mean,
The way that they've booked Wardlow, yeah, you'd have to. I mean, he just beat up 20 men.
but they weren't real wrestlers. That's wrestling logic. They were only security guards. They're like weaker humans than us all.
Oh yes, yes, and I mean their shoulders weren't touching the mat.
I mean, it goes security guards, referees, jobbers, like, or I'm sorry,
People in the crowd.
right? I I actually want to see him win it because I think it might make the belt feel important again. I think him having the belt will bring it back to where it was.
I agree with that. It still feels like a step down though for Wardlow. But I mean, if he drags the belt up to some sort of prestige again,
I think he would.
yeah. I also think if Scorpio Sky wasn't injured, the prestige of it wouldn't be such an issue. Because Scorpio Sky has those skills.
Yeah, he's very good.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's not like I'm not shitting on Scorpio Sky. I think it's more so booking than anything else.
Yeah, I don't think he needs um old man that I can never.
Dan Lambert.
Thank you. I always just want to say Cornette. Like kind of I I don't think he and Ethan Page can talk. They
Mm-hmm.
don't need a mouthpiece. Like they're fine on their own. They don't need him. And I think that's kind of holding both of them back.
Yeah, yeah, I 100% agree with that. They don't need Dan Lambert at all.
Mm-mm. He should be with someone that isn't that great on the mic yet. Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, almost like a Paul Heyman type.
yeah, yeah. Dan Lambert's despicable, but he's great. Like everything he says, you hate him, and that's his purpose. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's very
Yes,
good at what he does.
yes, agreed. But yeah, so Pac is the new champ of is it Mid Atlantic?
All Atlantic.
And All Atlantic Championship.
Yeah, with
'Cause
the new
they needed another championship.
right. I thought it was gonna be the trios belt. Like,
Yeah. Uh, I I'm glad Pac has a belt.
yeah, yeah, I'll just
I'll
agree.
leave it at that.
We had oh, this match was real fun. This was the Darby Allin, Sting, Shingo versus the Young Bucks and El Phantasmo.
Oh yes, 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 yes.
Oh my god, when the Young Bucks came out in their old Bullet Club gear, my heart, I was so like, oh.
Hmm. Yeah, and then on BTE they showed Matt rifling through his stuff, looking like he's like, yeah, I have like an hour to find this.
And then with all the pictures that they found to go along with it, and I was just like, God, it doesn't feel like I've been watching them long enough to feel nostalgic already, but I guess I have been. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
it was a really cool moment, and like their theme starting to play, and then it switching over to the Bullet Club theme, and the fake Sting in the rafters, like then being on top of it. Every time he does something like that, we when Brian and I are watching, we just go to the TV, sir, sir, you are 63 years old, sir. Like every time he jumps off something crazy, you just hear the both of us, sir.
There is a picture of him jumping off like where the camera was angled, so he's jumping at the camera kinda, and he just reminds me of like a cartoon cat.
It was a really cool shot though. I saw exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I really appreciated it. But yeah, still feel more comfortable with Sting doing that kind of stuff than Ric Flair, but you know,
Yeah.
that's Sting doesn't have a pacemaker.
I feel more comfortable with Sting doing that than Jeff Hardy. Like
Yeah, yeah, that's also true.
he's
Very
20 years older.
true. Yeah. I forget what I know I had messaged you something about Phantasmo.
Yes.
I don't recall what it is.
So you were asking if they had worked together
Oh
before,
yeah, because they
and
work so well.
yep.
Because they did the Young Bucks and Phantasmo because they did these sequences that were just fluid, like they'd been working together for years. Um yeah, and no, it's funny. The reason I remember sending that to you was because I remember being like, I'm not spelling this right.
I mean, I don't know if you did or didn't, so I knew exactly who you're talking about.
No, it's like, yeah, yes, this guy.
Right? Yeah,
But
they this was like the comedy match too. Like Matt and Nick were very funny. The shit they were doing with like the dancing and
mhm.
Matt with his like it was very much a throwback, I felt like, to old like Bullet Club, just complete asshole Young Bucks. I I loved this match. I loved it. I love Shingo. I like him a lot. He has some great matches with Osprey. Um, he's very fun to watch. He's a hard hitter, you know, like a lot of the New Japan guys with their strong style. This is one of my favorite matches of the night, I think. Probably because of the nostalgia of the Bullet Club stuff for me. I was like,
I don't remember the other three people in the match. I literally just remember I almost said the Bullet Club, the Young Bucks and Phantasmo. Like I don't even remember what the other guys looked like. I do blame it on having like trauma brain after all the bullshit that's been going on in the United States, but um yeah. I
one
don't
was
know. Those
Darby,
sequences, beautiful.
one was Darby Allin. So it was
Yeah, Darby Allin and Sting, that's right. Yeah.
yeah, it was Sting, his son, and Shingo.
Wait, what? Are you calling Darby Sting's son?
Yes.
Okay. I was like, wait, that other guy Sting's son?
No, you ever hear people like joke and refer to Sting as Darby's dad? Like, oh, you and your dad.
Oh, yeah. Oh God. I mean, He's actually young enough that he could be Sting's grandson.
Probably. How old is Darby?
He's got to be his early 20s, right?
Yeah, hang on, let me see.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
see.
he's 29. So, I mean, Sting would have had to, have started real young, as would his son, but it's possible.
It is possible, yes.
Plausible, maybe. I don't know what young Sting was like.
Yeah, I don't think he like found God until a little later on, like most of them.
Yeah, I was gonna say just like Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, it's weird how a lot of wrestlers end up becoming like Undertaker, like Shawn Michaels. They all become like born again. It's so weird. Like
Yeah, I mean Eddie Guerrero was always religious, so maybe he was just back there rubbing off on people.
that's probably different. I'm assuming that he was probably Catholic,
I assume
and Christians don't consider Catholics Christian. It's like they're
that is true.
yeah, and I'm one of those dirty Catholics. Well, I was raised one. Like so,
Yeah,
we
my mother was Lutheran and my father was Catholic, so I got to experience both worlds and listen to my mother tell me about how Catholics weren't Christians because they were uh, doing pagan things.
yeah, and apparently because Christians also pray to saints. That's another reason why, or because Catholics
Exactly.
also pray to saints. That's another reason. Which I don't know. That's a whole weird. I mean, it's all under Christianity. And I think like Catholicism is the oldest form of it. So I don't understand how any of that works. But all I know is I was raised up to feel guilty about anything that like looks, tastes, or feels good. So that's
Yeah,
Catholicism in a nutshell. If you enjoy it, then it's probably a sin.
yeah, yeah. My mother always, because whenever, oh God, if I said mass instead of service, I got an earful. Um, but because my mother would go on tirades. My father didn't give a shit. But my mother would tell me like, Catholics mourn their religion, whereas Christians celebrate it. And I was just like, I think that probably depends on the sect because that's not always the case.
I mean, I can see where that because I have been to like a Christian service as opposed to like a Catholic mass, and like a what was I at like a Protestant one like for like, a friend of mine was doing like youth group or something one night, and it was like his first night and asked me to come to support or whatever. This was when I was like in my 20s. I was like, yeah, sure. And I went to their mass, and oh my God, they're like clapping and like the music's all lively. And then I'm thinking of like my Catholic masses all during my childhood, and it's like the organ and like every like sit, stand, kneel, sit, kneel, stand. Like, and all the music is somber, and I'm like, yeah, I can see how that comparison would be made between like mourning and celebrating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, so, well, before COVID, I used to go to um, Christmas Eve services because the church I would go to with my mother does a jazz service, and it's themed differently every year. Like one year they did a Charlie Brown Christmas, all the music from it, and the Reverend his sermon included like a history lesson about a Charlie Brown Christmas and like the lessons you can pull from it. So yeah, it's very different from when I would go to midnight mass. Oof, very different. Very, very different. Much shorter.
I had to leave a Christmas Eve mass once because it was so packed because like there's people that don't go all year but they just go the CE Catholics, we call them, Christian and Easter.
Mhm.
um it was so packed, it was so warm in there, and they do all that incense
Oh
that
yeah.
I started getting lightheaded and thought I was gonna like vomit. And I remember just like booking out of the back of the church to go get some air. Like I can't ever do the Christmas Eve one again. Like I'll go Christmas morning maybe and like go to the little kids mass, but I can't do that. There's too much people and shit in the air. Like
Yeah, the incense kills me. I'm not good with incense in general. So like whenever I'm seating myself in a Catholic church, I choose my seat like far away from where the shaky thing's going to be.
yeah, same. I'm usually to the left and towards the back if I do like when I do go.
Hmm. I was also once at a mass where the thing that holds the incense, something it wasn't put on right, and out came a flaming little coal.
Oh no.
Yep, and I was like, oh, there, this place is gonna burn down.
The funniest is like the difference between a Catholic wedding and a non-Catholic wedding. I remember when I used to work, when I took care of the developmentally disabled kids, one of the kids' sisters was getting married, and they asked him which staff member he wanted to be his date, and he adored me, and it was me. And that mass, or that wedding, I swear was 20 minutes. I timed it from the time the first like
Mm-hmm.
he'd walk down the aisle till like I do and out the door.
Yep.
A Catholic one, I've been to some that they do all
A
of
full
it.
mass.
I got guilted into a full mass, but I cut a lot of the shit to make it a little shorter. But I've been to one where they did like this thing at Mary's statue and like flowers for parents and all these, like it was like an hour and a half long. I think mine was like 35 minutes because our priest he's very quick. He's very like regular masses. He's got you out of there in a half hour flat. Like
Yeah. Yeah. I went to, so my Aunt Sue is Jewish, and it was the first time I'd been to a Jewish wedding. It was beautiful. They gave us instruments. We got to like play instruments in it. It was fantastic. Highly recommend. That being said, my friend Tom also, well, Tom and Steph, um, had like a hybrid. It was a rabbi who married them, but it wasn't like a full. Um, it was different than my Aunt Sue's wedding, which took place in the temple. Same rabbi though, and it was just so fun and so like beautiful. Highly recommend it. If you have the chance to go to a Jewish wedding, do that. So MJF, when you get married, invite us all.
that sounds like fun that they give you little instruments to play and like I like that they have the wedding guests part of the ceremony.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. We have gone really far off of this. So yes, the Young Bucks.
Yeah, yeah, I think we pretty much covered most of that. They did not win, right? Let's see.
I no. Mm,
Yeah, they didn't win.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I thought I was remembering that incorrectly, and then I just double checked. Yeah, so they did not win, which I think was going to start beginning to play into a storyline. But I think with Adam Cole getting hurt, that might be, yeah. But
So did you hear the news about of what Kenny Omega said?
yeah, I did. I'm trying not to think about it.
Okay. Yeah.
I know we're gonna have to talk about it, but I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. Because I mean, so Kenny Omega had said in an interview that if he experiences one more major setback, he's just done. Now, whether he's just really frustrated right now because he had really wanted to be part of this and that's how he's feeling, and he might change his mind later. Who knows? But yeah, so he apparently has suffered another major setback. Um, so he was not a part of this pay-per-view. And we, as always, continue to wish the best for him. I just hope that he's able, like, because he's saying that the rehab that he's doing is very painful that he's doing. So I'm hoping that, if nothing else, that the pain goes away.
Yeah, and I hope he's not like trying to push himself too hard either to get like back more quickly. I don't want to think of a world that Kenny Omega doesn't wrestle in. Like that just breaks my heart.
Yeah. I mean, Edge came back. It just took a lot of time.
Can't wait 9 years. I don't want.
I like that you actually pouted. You're like, no. No.
I don't wanna.
We'll sacrifice another 4 wrestlers.
I mean, I could think of some that I wouldn't care if I didn't have to see them on my screen ever again.
Yeah. We know who's at the top of your list.
Wow, he wasn't even the first one that I thought of, to be honest with you. There was someone else that popped in my head first.
Ooh.
It was Carmella.
Oh, okay. All right.
That was the first one on my list that I was like, I don't care if I ever have to see her wrestle again or not. Like,
I assumed it was going to be Austin Theory since, you
oh,
painted his face.
they were definitely all in the other company. That they are the two. I can't think of 2 other ones right now that I would gladly sacrifice to the wrestling gods for Kenny Omega, but Carmella and Austin Theory are definitely up there.
Almost.
Oh yeah, there's another one. Yeah. And then maybe we'll bring it back to AEW and that Marina that makes everyone look bad. We'll
Yeah.
just to make it even, we'll sacrifice 2 men and 2 women.
Because that's feminism.
That's what we're all about.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of feminism, our next match was
The one women's match.
Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm, which I just want to start by saying I'm glad that they had a women's match on the pay-per-view because New Japan doesn't have any. It's like Stardom separate from New Japan, but they're still kind of like the same, I think, ownership maybe. So I'm glad that this was even on it.
Is Thunder Rosa supposed to be on Rampage this week? So are they doing this? Because she wasn't on Dynamite. So
No,
are they doing it to her again? Where right after she's at a pay per view, it was just like, oh, the next week you're not on TV at all, but
I
your
don't.
opponent will be.
I'm not sure because I think the only thing that I saw announced for Rampage was just the Young Bucks saying that they were going to be in a match. So I don't even know what else.
Tony Storm's on it.
Is she?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay, but I mean, they had a decent match.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't think that. I hope that Tony Storm wasn't going to win because one, they weren't going. She's a baby face. They were just going to drop it again, drop the ball. And two, like I want Thunder Rosa's reign to get better, and it can't get better if she doesn't have the belt.
Yeah, I feel like that's like general consensus that a lot of people just they wanted to see Thunder Rosa get the belt and now we want to see her have a good reign. It's like watching Hangman all over again. Like
Yep.
it's the exact same thing. It's like watching Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus finally win the tag belts. Like they have a serious issue with booking babyface champions that needs. I thought it might have just been a fluke at first. Like okay, maybe they just didn't know what to do with Hangman. They spent so long on the chase. Now that he got it, maybe they don't know where to go. Kenny got hurt. Like maybe there were storylines that they were going to do. Give them the benefit of the doubt for Hangman. Then notice that like Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, that their reign wasn't really anything. I mean, their matches were always great, but they
Mhm.
didn't have any good storylines. Like, okay, this is weird. Then, like, Thunder Rosa finally gets the belt. Her matches have been fun, but like, there's no good storylines. They don't know what to do with a babyface champion.
Nope, they have no clue. No clue. Maybe CM Punk can thank the gods that he got injured.
Right? I mean, it might have been different with Punk because
He
he
has a
does
cult
have like
following.
yeah, that and he has a little bit of an edge to him. Like he's always more like an anti-hero than the complete like John Cena baby face, like maybe, and maybe just because it was Punk, like I wouldn't gauge it by him. I'm interested to see how this Mox intern run is gonna go.
Well, he's a tweener, so
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I feel like he's a little more babyface now than he was in the first run. I I don't know.
I think he's probably gonna have the bloodiest run.
Oh yeah, obviously. Like the most matches I can't watch.
Yeah. Well, well, that match. Well, that blood and guts. We'll get into that.
I still love his book though. His book is a lot of fun like to listen to.
Mhm. Yeah, did you have anything else you wanted to say about the Thunder Rosa Tony Storm match?
Just that I'm really glad that they kept it on her because I was really afraid they were going to give it to Tony Storm. I really thought that was going to happen.
Yeah. And then they'd have done nothing again.
Yeah.
Um,
But Jade was on again. That's the second time they've done that too, where Thunder Rosa had the match of the pay-per-view. Jade was on the Dynamite.
yep. Yeah. Um, yeah, and Jade seems to have a new baddie as well now. But the next matchup was my favorite, and what actually I had told Megan, like, I honestly wasn't going to buy the pay-per-view until Orange Cassidy strolled himself out and it was clear that he was going to be facing Will Ospreay. And then I was like, all right, fine, here's my money. Um, and I am very glad, even though Will Ospreay's kicks, like the kicks that he was doing, which were, I was like, maybe it's the camera angle. What? No, no, like it was just bad. Like when he's trying to kick him in the head, and then Orange Cassidy mocks him doing it back, which was. But overall, they had a very fun match. It was. It kept you very much on the edge of your seat. Um, Orange Cassidy is a great wrestler. And I think people forget that because he has such a great character that is known for not giving a shit about anything. So they're like, oh, he must not care about wrestling then. But his move set is like second to none.
I feel like it takes even more talent to pull off half the moves he does with his hands in his pockets and with no arms to catch himself.
Yep.
He's severely underrated because people just look at the like those little kicks and they forget that he can go. And it's like, well, remember his first match with Pac, like way back when? Like he can do this stuff. And like remember Jericho and like other matches. He's not just a gimmick, he's a good wrestler.
Yeah. I also think after watching this match, it's really cemented the idea in my mind that he'd be a great swing dancer.
Yeah.
Right? Like, am I the only one that can see that? Like, he'd just be phenomenal at it.
Interesting take.
That's what I got out of this match. That Orange Cassidy has a future as a swing dancer. No. Yeah, absolutely great match. There was some interference, obviously. So the next night, well, not the next night, on Dynamite, we saw the best friends come down. It made sense why Trent wasn't there, but why couldn't they have just sent Chuck down? Why? I love Chuck. Chuck Taylor should be there more. Just saying. Although I did love that Chuck and Trent went out with Orange on Dynamite or Blood and Guts, and they had the matching tie-dyed track suits, which were ridiculous.
I'm wondering if now that the lead up to Forbidden Door like is over for right now, Rocky's probably gonna go back and because he's like head booker of like New Japan, like America, like New Japan Strong.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's high up in New Japan. I'm thinking he's probably gonna go back to do like his other like his other duties for a while, which means I think we're probably going to see more of Chuck and Trent and, you know, best friends and all of that. I think Statlander is just gone from the group at this point. Wheeler Yuta's obviously gone from it. I think it's going to go back to just the three of them like it was like way in the beginning.
Yeah, which I'm fine with.
Yeah, me too.
Like I love the three of them together. Obviously, also Danhausen's off doing his own thing. But yeah, I really enjoyed this match. It was my favorite of the night for the reason I just like it's the reason I bought the pay-per-view. I paid $50 to see that match. So
Hey, you got to see some other great wrestling too.
very true. Very true. But I had that match not been good, I would have had a very different view of this entire pay-per-view because I would have felt cheated. You know, like sometimes when the match that you're like really looking forward to is shit and you're just like, fuck all of this, that would have been me.
I got a good example of that. AJ Styles and Nakamura, that WrestleMania match.
We don't talk about that.
It's even more heartbreaking when like you had just watched their like New Japan like classic match before it to prepare, and then that happened, and I was like,
Kicking them in the balls.
not only that, like the whole match before it was lackluster. Like it, I don't know if like WWE style held them back for really putting out like a banger like they had in New Japan. Like I don't know, or if like something was just off that night or what, but that was not either of their greatest matches, and that like will always come to mind as like the biggest letdown of a match I was so looking forward to within like the past decade.
Yeah, that was
Brutal.
yeah. I felt like a deflated balloon. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was so pumped up and then just like, ooh.
Yep, even the crowd. I remember the crowd got like real quiet. Like they were like super pumped, and it was like this is awesome chance. Like right when like it first even started, and then it just like, oh.
Mm-hmm. And like, in what world are we deflating during a match that has either AJ or Shinsuke, let alone both of them in it?
Yeah, yeah,
But
that was a bummer.
yeah. Um, and the next match was that Zack Sabre Jr.
Yep. With
versus
Claudio.
Claudio. There we go. I was like, not Cesaro, not Cesaro, not Cesaro.
Nope.
It fucks me up because they're all it's C's. It's all C's. I'm just gonna be like cannoli. Mr. Cannoli Man.
I mean, that almost sounds like the last name, Castanoli, like Claudio Canoli.
Claudio Cannoli, that's him now.
I love Zack Sabre Jr. I think the biggest crime of this whole buildup was that they never gave that man a microphone. Because when this man lost a match like 2 years ago, I think, and they do those backstage press things after New Japan, he went on a tirade against Boris Johnson and Tories for like no reason. Like he's just so funny. I like him, Kevin Owens, and oh, there's one more. There are like the best people at like shit talking when they're inside the ring, and like you hear them like just shit talking to their opponent the entire match.
Oh yeah.
He's just like that. Like he's just like how Owens does that. He, I'm so bummed that it wasn't Brian, because my God, I wanted this match. But Claudio was a great replacement.
Yeah. Unfortunately, like Brian really gave it away about who his replacement was going to be. So it wasn't quite the same like because we all knew who it was going to be. Also I can't help but when I saw him walk out, hear the in my head. That's all I could hear. But I just want him to be world champ. Like murder everybody else in his way. Champion. Put the crown on his head. He is a pretty, pretty princess. He rules the world now.
I'm so happy to see him in AEW because I feel like he's gonna be used better. Like
God, I hope so.
because Vince has a thing with like making people world champ that like English is not their native language and they have an accent, and that's a goddamn shame because then Cesaro was so over. Like people loved him just like
Mhm.
a bunch of times. Like it happened like in cycles that like he'd be like over again, and they'd never put the belt on him because Vince has something against people with accents.
I also feel like so anytime that Cesaro was a heel, I never quite bought it
Oh.
because much like Tom Hanks, I really feel he has like Tom Hanks vibes about him, honestly, where it's just like, if he is that upset with you, you have done something wrong and you need to reevaluate yourself and hopefully you learn from this ass kicking.
Right? He's just, I mean, if you ever see him like outside of wrestling and like in real life, he is just a precious little angel who needs to be protected at all costs. Like he's just
Whatever you think of a person like he embodies being Swiss really because they have that reputation of being very kind folk and yeah, just want to be like, come here. It's okay, very tall man.
like, I think the word I used with you was wholesome. Like
Yeah.
he's the definition of wholesome. You look it up in the dictionary, there's Claudio. Like
Which I think is why the bar works so well because Seamus is not wholesome. But they had like a true friendship. And yeah, just oh
it's also probably why he gets along so well with like Creed and Adam Cole because that is like the holy trinity of wholesome.
I would not say that Austin Creed is wholesome.
I mean, what he does in his personal life behind closed doors with another human.
Well, even that, like, when he plays games, he likes being devious. I mean, I don't think he has a good game face at all because he gets a little like wicked glint on his face. But when I would see, because I would watch, I forget what Departy versus the BRE, and yeah, like when they were playing what is it, sus, when you're sus,
Among Us.
Among Us, yeah, his little face would give it away.
Let me tell you, Among Us brings out a different human being than you think you really are. Like, I murdered my brother in front of my other brother in that game. We were all in a little room together. I just, I just killed Matthew, and Eric didn't know that I was one of the killers. And Eric just goes to me, "Oh, so I guess we're doing this." And I was like, "Yeah, you just be my little accountability buddy, and we can pretend that I didn't do it." Me and him just bounced away and left Matthew's dead body. Blatantly killed him right in front of him, and Eric's like, "Oh, okay." Like, so you cannot judge him on Among Us because that turns you into a different human.
Yeah, just like other things too. The other thing was it was like that prank show that WWE did. He loves pranking people and he laughs maniacally when he does it. Like, I don't know. I'm sure Adam Cole can like pull a nice joke or something, but like I feel like deep inside he's sorry that he's upset someone. Claudio obviously.
Right.
But like Austin, I think he'd be like, "You have whipped cream in your hair now. Blah, 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 blah. You're going to smell bad for a while."
It's still
you know. Oh yeah, no, like he's a fun devious, like fun devious, but that's that's more like well, some weird stuff has come out about Bill Murray. But if you discard that, like where you would hear, I've heard weird some allegations about Bill Murray. But one thing that he was doing before that was funny was he would like run up to people and just whisper in their ear, "No one's going to believe that this happened to you," and run away. And I could see Austin Creed doing that, like or running up and just being like, "No one's going to believe this" at
He's
Comic Con or something.
Bill Murray, no.
Oh. Yeah, pretty sure.
Because I've been firmly on like the Chevy Chase Bill Murray fight, like Team Bill Murray, my entire like adult life since I found out Chevy Chase is a douchebag. Like,
Is he?
yes, yeah, he's like notoriously hard to work with. He said some questionably and racist things to Donald Glover on Community, like when they were um yeah, he doesn't have a great reputation with working. He's that like difficult to work with is something you hear a lot. He got drunk and called Dan Harmon, the creator of Rick and Morty and Community, and was calling him like a fat fuck and like, oh yeah, like the
Okay.
the voicemail got leaked out. So I was always firmly, and there was like always the notorious and well known like grudge between Bill Murray and Chevy Chase.
Oh. Yeah, I just double checked. That popped up. Bill Murray's a wife beater. His ex-wife was quoted as saying in the divorce papers that she's lucky he didn't kill her. So,
Well, that sucks. That
yeah. Yeah, so that makes his everything less adorable. But if you just take that little thing of running up to people and whispering in their ear, no one's oh, yeah, that's really fucked up now. But yeah. So,
just
let's
like
get back to wrestling.
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm having like a whole my entire from like Garfield days. Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah. So Claudio won
Yes.
as as he would have to, honestly. I know we were debating this as the match was happening, but I saw no other way for that match to end.
I wanted like some kind of draw because I think Zack Sabre Jr. was beating Brian. And then that makes Claudio look like he's better than Brian.
Well, again, so it would have been a technical wrestling match that they would have had, and the commentators, what sold it for me, what that there was going to be like a finish to it was how they kept talking about how Claudio was smart, not wrestling a technical match because he wouldn't be able to beat him on that, and you know they're very clearly like setting it up for um the Brian match in the future.
It's still like it made me like, oh yeah, I'm glad to see him. Oh no, now like how do we get through this match with like Zack Sabre Jr. not losing? Like that was kind of like I knew that Claudio was gonna win because it was his debut and he had to. I just wasn't overly happy about it because of like other storyline. Like that was just my personal feeling on it. Like, yeah, I'm glad he's there. Yeah, I'm glad he won, but then I'm not for like the Brian and Zack Sabre Jr. like that portion of it.
Well, I'm sure we'll get it at next year's Forbidden Door, assuming that it's not cursed again.
I hope not.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of cursed, it's time for your main event.
Yes.
This match was unbelievable. It was so good. And then I knew something went wrong because that finish was too quick and too weird.
Yeah. So Adam Cole was injured in the match. I guess he went in injured. Like they said, basically being held together by, I'm gonna say it wrong, kinesthesia tape. I think I said that wrong, but um perhaps we need not to be working wrestlers to the point, and this goes for everyone in wrestling, to the point where they're being held together by tape, because what's going to happen is all of a sudden everyone's going to break at the same time across all companies.
Which we're seeing now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because with the travel and everything else, like, because you don't get to fully recover when you have to hop onto a plane and be like this
Hmm.
for X amount of time. So, or into a car, or, you know, it's different when you're 20 versus when you're in your 30s and above. I can't even imagine how Sting He must just like be like, put me in the coffin. Keep me that way.
I am excited that you got to see Okada wrestle. That because oh my god, he's so good. Like,
yeah, he was fun.
I wish you got to see the one thing. It's this one spot that he does in like every match where he doesn't tend to do it in multi-man matches. It's usually like when he's just in a singles match where the opponent's up against the ropes and he's doing this thing like he's going to smack them in the chest, and he stops the last second and just goes like a little pat and backs away with a smirk. And it's like my favorite thing that he does. And I was very sad that that didn't happen in the match. But I mean, I hope you get to see him more. I hope he comes back and maybe does some singles matches. I still want you to watch the link I sent you of the Kenny and Okada match. Oh my god, you have to watch all three of them. Like, but that's if you're gonna watch any of them, that's the one you need to watch. The one that I sent you, their first one.
Yes, I'm making a note for myself to do that.
It's one of the best wrestling matches I've ever seen.
So the thing that you had said reminded me of earlier. Like way earlier, first match, Eddie Kingston and Murder Grandpa. I don't like Eddie Kingston's nor Murder Grandpa, anyone when they do this, the like rapid chops, because like they get so weak after a while. And it's just like, ugh. I'm just like, this is doing nothing to anyone except, tightening up your arm.
I don't hate it for like a quick little, like, just to get the crowd popping type. I mean, that's why they do it. The crowd always goes nuts for it. Like,
I think it's one of those things where it would be better for house shows versus something that's going to zoom in on you. Like, there are just certain things that play well to like people who are farther away.
True.
Like kicks to the head that don't connect.
I mean, we don't want it to connect.
We don't, but I don't want it to be like a hand's length away.
There's enough injured.
Yeah, where like the wind is gently blowing Orange Cassidy's hair. I was like, what the fuck am I watching? And then Nam watched it and he was like, what is that? And I was like, I swear it's a good match. And he was like, this takes me out of it. And I was like,
I mean, it happens.
Better.
I mean, we've seen like Charlotte blatantly miss kicks and like Brian, and it's something that unfortunately happens because you're not actually kicking your opponent. So sometimes if the communication's just a little bit off, you're gonna get that.
Yeah, they need to figure out like a camera angle or something. Like completely behind the wrestler that's being kicked.
Yeah.
A terrible angle that'll hide it, basically.
Right.
But yes, back to the main event.
This made me want Paige Okada so bad. This made me want a single match between just, oh my god, I need it. Like, I never realized how badly I need it to just see Okada and Hangman Page until this.
Yeah. I mean, it was a great match. I was very entranced by Okada's skin and wondering what his skincare routine is.
He's just so beautiful. I hate it.
Like he looks like he has a filter on. It's strange. It's very strange. Like there's, especially for like a wrestler, like things happen to your face. Not that man. Not that man. He's just been blessed by the wrestling gods.
Right? I told you, he's too perfect. Like, he looks like he's like a Superman, like a blonde Superman. The perfect hair, the perfect skin, the perfect smile. Like, he's 6'3". He's like built, but not too built. He's the perfect human being, and I hate it. Like, no one should be allowed to look that pretty. Like,
sir.
Right? Like, you are not allowed.
I do love that on BTE how they talked about like as soon as he got off the plane, basically he ran and he put on Nick Jackson's gear
Under his own.
His clothes, yeah.
In the picture they posted where he had Nick's pants on, he's like,
yeah. He said he hasn't seen him in like 3 years, and that's the first thing he does. That's a good friend.
Yeah. I was telling you about one of the last BTEs from in Japan before, like I think it was after the last Wrestle Kingdom, and Matt and Nick were just sitting in like the seats, just showing the ring, and like I think they were talking about how it was like the last Wrestle Kingdom they were going to be in, and like just nostalgic and sad and blah blah blah, and how like their whole family was there, and in the background you see their kids when they're really small, like running through the seats, and there's Okada chasing them like this. He's like, "Urgh." So you have this big 6'3", and I remember like Twitter just referring to him as Uncle Okada after that.
Oh,
It was the cutest thing, and I'm so happy to hear he's having a kid because he's obviously good with them.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, which is why we were surprised that he was able to make it on over.
Yeah, that was a legit. Oh yeah, we recorded before Dynamite last week.
Mm-hmm.
That was a legitimate shock. I slapped Brian because I was sitting next to him, and that
Slapped or chopped him because you just did a chop motion.
it was more of a chop. We were both sitting on the couch. We just got done eating dinner, and I was still sitting over there before I went because I go sit on my own, and the little coin dropped, and for a second I'm like, no, it can't be, and then the music started, and I was like, Brian, like beat the poor guy. I'm like, I'm sorry. I was just so excited.
So this will be subpoenaed later for Brian's PFA.
I didn't mean to hit him as hard as I did. I actually felt bad because I was just like, oh.
Yeah. Poor Brian.
Yeah, I know. It's not easy being married to someone that's clumsy or a little too enthusiastic sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. No, I understand because I am you on that one. Yes.
I mean, he's the same way too. There's times that like he has accidentally like elbowed me in like the face or something. I'm like, people are gonna think you're beating me, and I'm gonna be like, no, we're just both klutzes.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, was there another match after this one?
No, this was.
Okay.
Oh wait, yeah, there was.
Yeah.
I forgot. Tanahashi and Mox. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really remember that match. Did
um,
I zone out? Yes.
I mean, it was a standard Mox and Tanahashi match. They're both good. It was a The only thing is like you can really tell that Tanahashi's getting old because like his knees do not want to bend. When he like did that one jump off the top rope, like I don't even know how he jumped. Like his knees just don't want to work at this point.
Ugh.
Yeah, if next time you see him, pay attention to how he walks. You can tell that he is an aging wrestler. Like
He needs some DDP yoga.
I don't know, or 2 knee replacements because holy crap.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Overall, this pay-per-view was, very good, very entertaining. Again, my only real criticism is that I wish specifically the Japanese wrestlers that we had more of a build up, something like even I would have even been happy if they did like little profiles or something on like the AEW website or not a website, their YouTube. I
I
would have
think they
appreciated
relied way too heavily on knowing that a lot of their audience knows them, but not focusing on the portion that didn't. Like, it wouldn't have been too hard to even like have commentary just kind of be like, oh, this is, so and so. And like, he was a 2-time IWGP heavyweight champion and like fought Omega or like something like, just like a little like snippet of who this person was. And like, they relied way too heavily on thinking that their whole audience were, smart marks who know everything.
it. Yeah.
And I mean, maybe in like be right before COVID hit, like that, I'd say like 90% of their audience would have been people that knew New Japan at that point because the company was so new and everybody that was watching really then were people that had watched them all in New Japan and Ring of Honor, but like you've been around for 3 years now. You probably have more fans that weren't watching from the time that they were in New Japan. They could have spent a little time explaining who people were.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, that is my biggest criticism, because their audience has grown. Especially as there was the big peak with when they brought in CM Punk, and as other names have come in. So, yeah, that would be my one thing that I think that they need to work on for when they do this again, or any crossover, really.
I still feel like they're gonna have them on more, so you'll get to know them. Like that's what I think is gonna happen. That you're gonna definitely see them more within the next year. That you'll at least know like who you. If you don't know their name, you'll still like get to the point like, oh yeah, I like that one. Like you know what I mean. I think they'll have them around.
I don't. So it's difficult, right? Because great if they do that, but also they have a very deep roster now. So anytime that they bring on someone from another company, someone that's already signed isn't getting TV time. So, like, you got to be careful with how much you do that.
I don't think it's gonna be like a weekly thing, but if we see someone like once a month, like that's fine. Like on a Dynamite and a
Like
Rampage.
Ponderosa, champion. Just let me put that stab in.
I hope we see her Friday.
Yeah. 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 What are we barking at, Cheddar? I don't know if you can hear my dog barking, but he's giving someone a piece of his mind. Um, I think the neighbor drove down the driveway. That would be what has upset him. So yeah, we also have, of course, then I guess we'll just stick with doing AEW. Yeah, because we had From Forbidden Door to Blood and Guts. The actual Blood and Guts match, Megan and I both did not see most of it. I continued to listen. I don't know about you, and I almost threw up listening. So, yeah.
I saw a lot of the beginning of the match. I think I watched up until like Jericho and Eddie were getting in, and that's when it seemed like it started. Like that's when like the tack started coming out in the
Glass is when I was like, nope, I can't take seeing glass in skin. I can't do it.
I didn't see that either. I turned away for that, but I was still kind of like peeking, and then when I saw tacks come out, I was done. Like I was just like, I'm out. And then I listened, and then I happened to just like kind of like, could I look? And that's when I saw them starting to climb to the top. So I watched like most of the beginning and the end.
Yeah, I saw some of the beginning, up until the glass, and then I saw the ending, like once they were, because the ones who were really bloody weren't up on top of the cage, which was a safe thing to do because blood makes you slippery, and we don't want people falling off the cage who aren't supposed to.
No.
It's great to see that, like, so the fall that Sammy did and the angles that they did, beautiful. Like, no one has any room to complain about any of that, except for poor Sammy, who had to take that landing. Yeah, Cesar, Claudio doing the pew, pew, pew on top of. Yeah, oof.
My heart, I was like, oh my God, please stay over this way. Please stay over this way. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that was like the scariest spot of the whole thing for me because that legitimately could have gone really wrong. Like that was scary.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Because, like, I've seen him before where something happens and he lets go of someone, and like, but it's fine because you're just in the ring. Like, but this was on top of a cage.
Yeah, there was the awkward part where you could tell that now I think we know that it was Santana that got hurt, but I think it was just Eddie. At that point, I think it was just Eddie, Sammy, and Jericho that were up there. I don't think Claudio was up there yet. When they were just all kind of laying there and not doing anything, and the camera was just staying on them laying on top of and not doing anything.
Yeah.
And like Brian and I thought that that Jericho lost the fireball thing, that we thought that was supposed to be the next, like, we thought he was going to do a fireball in Eddie's face on top of the cage. And we're like, no, maybe not. Like, what's going on? And you could see that they're talking, and we're like, they're talking to each other. They're trying to figure out something on the fly. Like, something went wrong because it was just way too long that nothing was happening. And then it seemed like they then just went to like Eddie throwing Sammy off. And then at the end of the match, like, we didn't see Santana. He was the only one that didn't climb up there to
Yeah.
find out that
So yeah, so he's on the injured list now. For a while, they said like it's not a. So AEW does this thing where they don't really talk about injuries, but yeah.
it looked like the Achilles when I saw that clip again. I'm like, ooh, that looked like the Achilles tendon. The way that like he bent, like the it just, yeah, and that's like a year. I think an Achilles is like a year.
Yeah. Though, like, and it's been said before, and it's very true that in those type of matches, it's always little things that hurt people that you wouldn't think of. And I think it's because people are so focused on doing like the big spots that you slightly misstep and suddenly your Achilles is no longer attached to your body where it's supposed to be, you know. Not saying that that was his fault at all, but like these are just things that happen and they're probably more prone to it because your adrenaline's going for these bigger moments.
Yeah, it's just so weird that like the injury that happened in that match was due to just a standard wrestling move that could have happened in any other match. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it sucks. I hope it's not an Achilles. Like, I'd hate to see him out for a year because I like Santana a lot. He's one of my favorites on that roster.
Yeah.
And I really, really want to see them get a title run. Like, they should have had the tag belts years ago. Like,
Yeah. Well, I don't think FTR is going to be losing any tag belts anytime soon. So.
no, but the Young Bucks can lose to them. The Young Bucks have the AEW
Oh
belt.
yeah, that's right. That's right. They do. Um, Speaking of tag teams, Luchasaurus has gone dark now, which I was so sad about. I'm just like heartbroken that he's like Dark Saurus now.
Well, he was a heel on Big Brother, so I guess,
Returning to his roots.
yeah, I guess he's come full circle. Oh, he was such a bastard. I hope that's not him in real life, because if that's him in real life, I don't like him. Like, but if they edited it, no, because I even watched the live feeds and he was kind of shitty. Like, I hope that like that was just for show. Like,
I didn't watch it, so I have no opinion on that.
I did. I was not a fan. He was terrible. The poor Johnny Mac that was from Scranton.
Oh, of all the things that I watch that have wrestling stuff in or wrestlers that show up in it, never watched Big Brother.
Love Big Brother. It starts next week, so I might have to readjust my recording schedule because I think it's on yeah, I think Tuesday is the premiere, so I might have to record on Monday.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. What else? I mean, there was the Jade's match. You know, Athena and Chris Statlander came out, but
Oh, there was the thing that was the reason for me messaging you, and you said that you weren't there yet. When I said I love wrestling, when Danhausen came out, and he's like, "I think I got two pretty good wrestlers," and FTR's music hits.
yeah,
Oh, that killed me. I think I got two good wrestlers.
yeah. Uh-huh. I just I just love Danhausen. He's so adorable.
Yeah, I'm glad that he's like wrestling now too, not just going in and getting completely killed. Like, he's actually doing moves. Like,
Yes, yes, agreed.
he got the pin.
Mhm. Yes, yeah. Um, I still want him to just start hounding Britt Baker for teeth, but that'll come eventually.
It probably will, because I noticed on his tights that there's teeth all around them. So
Yes. Oh God. And then Adam Cole's gonna be like, "Will you leave her alone?"
hate, he'll hate him like he hates Tony Schiavone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only it's very clear. Only it would be very clear that Danhausen wasn't interested in Britt Baker other than for her connection to teeth. Give her the cheek. Was there anything else really on?
No, that blood and guts match was the whole second hour of the show.
Yeah.
That was basically the. I mean, I didn't hate it. Like, there's parts that I can't watch, but I thought, like.
Oh, I was going because of the blood part.
Yeah, I'm fine with those matches for like the amounts that I'm able to watch. And then I listen to a lot of it, but
I heard that match made Taz go, "Oh gosh."
Yeah.
Oh, no, oh goodness, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. And Regal said,
That's
I
cool.
can't tell you what's going on because it's too gory.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like.
And I don't think it's done between Eddie and Jericho because Jericho didn't tap out.
Also, Eddie's not too happy with Claudio, but
yeah, there's history there. So I don't know what's gonna. I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna be like a feud with Claudio or if he's gonna keep going with Jericho for now or both. Like I don't know.
One after the other, yeah. Very excited.
Yeah.
Then we pop over to WWE, and it was the John Cena celebration episode, and which I was there for. I loved like the opening of John Cena walking in, all the wrestlers being there, and Becky Lynch just like doing her like, ugh, they made me do this. I'm wearing glasses. I can't see you. Her whole thing. And the R-Truth too, because R-Truth had that whole gimmick thing going where John Cena was a wrestler as a kid. When I grew up, I wanted to be John Cena. Sir, you were older than John Cena. Like, fantastic. Even how Dolph Ziggler like interacted with him because they have an interesting history. The fact that also WWE reached out to AEW to get Bryan, Jericho, and Big Show to do videos for Cena, was also very nice on both ends, that they actually reached out and that Tony Khan was like, yeah, sure.
I think Tony Khan is more open to working with, other companies than WWE is to working with other companies. So it doesn't surprise me that like they were allowed to be on there. It surprises me more that they were asked to be on it. Like
it doesn't for me because I mean they've had Jericho on stuff already where they specifically asked him about AEW. So,
that was Stone Cold's podcast though. They're the Broken Skull, and that seems to have different rules than.
I mean, if Vince didn't want it, it would have just been edited out.
Right, but I mean, it's just that it seems like things are done a little differently on that show than the rest of their product, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Like, it seems like he gets more free reign to ask things and they leave it because it's Stone Cold. Like,
yeah. I feel like, I mean, there's been a couple of things, but obviously Jericho being on the podcast is the most notable. But yeah, and it was nice to see like Big Show, and it's funny because like Bryan was almost John Cena's brother-in-law. Like he lived at his house for a little bit when after Nikki had her neck surgery and Bryan and Brie moved in to help take care of her because Cena was on the road so much. Not that Bryan and Brie weren't, but So yeah, it was just really nice to see. And also like they had Randy Orton obviously talking like and other people throughout John Cena's very storied career. It also like it was weird to be like I've been watching John Cena for 20 years.
Oh my god.
And I was like, how the hell is that possible? Also, when he said about he doesn't know when he'll be back in the ring, like he is 45, I almost cried at that point because I was just like, oh God, he's 45. How old am I? Like,
yeah, like, what year is this? Like,
Where am I?
Right?
Yeah.
Or
Um,
him telling that kid, he's like, "How old are you? 6?" It's like, "I've been on TV for 14 years longer than you've been alive."
mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. The jorts. God.
That was great.
Yeah. Um, and yeah, the crowd was really receptive to him. I also, while I hated that Vince McMahon introduced him, I was really glad that Cena was like, we are not going to be in the ring at the same time. Clearly, I think that's what had gone down. He's like, that is not going to be a picture that's going up anywhere. Like, there will be no us embracing. And so I was happy that happened because there was no like, well, John Cena says that this is okay.
Yeah.
Because I was curious how that was going to play out.
I mean, there was no need for Vince to come out for the third show in a row anyway, but here we are. He's going to come out every week, isn't he? He's going to come out every show for something.
Probably. At least there was a reason for this one. I don't want to see him regardless, but at least there was a reason. And it wasn't just like, hello, everyone. This is episode 1329. Kiss my dick. And like, at least he was there for a reason. Are you okay?
Kiss my dick. Oh my god, that killed me. I just thought you were going for the standard kiss my ass. But
I don't know what it is, but your laughter always makes me laugh. I think it's because you like crouch in on yourself and die a little.
I just kissed my dick. That was a total new one. Oh, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Oh, I think my makeup's like running. Whew. Anywho, I think you were talking about Cena.
Yes, yes, yes. Um, so yeah, and of course there was a moment with him and Austin Theory where it was great because when Austin went to take the photo, Cena was gone because you can't see me, and also he doesn't have time for Theory's shit. So I just really enjoyed all of that. Um,
I'm surprised Theory didn't come out like to challenge him. I for sure thought that was going to happen because I didn't see him as one of the. He wasn't there like with the rest of the wrestlers. So
mhm.
I thought they were going to do the thing where you think you're getting a celebration and then it's going to turn into like a challenge for SummerSlam. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I think R-Truth would have had to have taken Theory down at that point for interrupting
Which
his hero.
that is one of the funniest things that Truth has ever said.
Hmm. Yeah, and he has said it so many times. Like, I love that it's just part of his gimmick now.
It is our Truth is a hidden gem. Like he's just so underrated. He needs to be on way more than he is.
During the pandemic, they had like him do that little show on the network where he would have the various WWE superstars compete against each other to like for trivia and find random shit in their house and things like that. And it was just so fun. I highly recommend watching it. I realize I have no idea what it's called, but it's on the network, aka Peacock, and it's just great. It's like a little game show with R-Truth and Adam Cole's on there, Alexa Bliss, Tyler Breeze. Basically, I think anyone. Oh, Biggie. It's a lot of the same people that would have been on Up Up Down Down.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it's hysterical. They have a lot of fun.
Cool. I mean, I can't see how you wouldn't with Truth. He just seems like a very fun human. Like
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Um, I can't really remember anything else that was on the show. I know there were other things. Um, oh, so not related, but related. So for my regular job, I'm on the social media team. And I have to look each month to see like what the special days are. And for the first time ever, I saw they listed a wrestler's birthday as a day of note. Guess which wrestler?
China.
Oh, I wish.
Oh,
Um,
that's why I thought you were saying it.
it was Finn Balor.
Oh, get out.
Yeah. But you mentioning China does make me remember I did not do my random wrestling memorabilia shtick. And I found something. So I'm doing my yearly cleaning out of random things, or I shouldn't even say yearly. It's really, so it started off with my nail polish collection, which is I'm testing out some of them, which is why they're all
Oh,
the fingers on this hand are different and there's nothing on this hand yet because there's more to be tested. But in that, I found something. So it is a China card,
oh,
like before she had any surgery done, and WWF. Yep. Oh yeah, all that's gonna be backwards for you, but it's her little trading card from back in the day. She's
huh.
number 63. Yeah. Brains behind the brawn is what it says on the back. The presence of China in the World Wrestling Federation has broken every barrier that any woman was ever faced within this male dominated business. As the backbone of Degeneration X, China has made herself heard loud and clear. I am woman. Watch me rip your fucking head off. It doesn't say fucking, but you can tell by all the exclamation points and other things that that's what they're going to say. Right? Yeah. So,
That's cool.
yeah. In my, so somewhere I have one of her and Chris Jericho. These were random things that my mother bought me, which is why they're like in these sleeves and everything. It's actually filthy, but that's, I mean, it was in a dusty little bin of nail polish for some reason. I don't know how it got there, but there's no nail polish on it, so that's good. I guess I'll put it on my little, I'll put it next to Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks, who apparently has not been let go from WWE. She was not. Her status is just sitting on the shelf,
Hmm.
which means they probably were like, yes, we've released Sasha Banks. Talk about that instead of everything else.
Well, it's probably only a matter of time.
Yeah, I think it'll be more like when her contract runs out,
Yeah.
honestly. Um, I think we were right that there's more of a chance of Naomi coming back because of the family connections.
Mhm.
But yeah.
We shall see.
Mm-hmm. Um, yeah. Is there anything that you would like to add in?
No, I think I'm good. I got a text message 20 minutes ago that Brian brought dinner home, so I'm good.
Fair enough. Well, this is going to be going up late today, but sorry we tried to go live.
Yeah, it's my fault. I had a lot of home repair type stuff and no hot water and people coming and going and not a good time to record besides like now. So that's my fault and I'm sorry.
That's fine. If I could figure out how to do multiple things on my computer at once, we wouldn't be in this spot. But you know. So next week it should be at its regular time though. So we will see you then. And for 20 years, and as it will continue to be, hustle, loyalty, and respect.
Yep.
Yabba